So let's talk about William Shakespeare and his fierce, really moving war against an enemy that no one can ever defeat, time itself.
Right, let's just dive straight into this. In his sonnets, Shakespeare doesn't just, write about time. He personifies it. He gives it a character. And that character, it's a villain. A truly destructive force that just devours everything we hold dear. Beauty, love, life, you name it. So that's the central problem Shakespeare sets up for himself. How do you even begin to fight something like that? It's a battle against an enemy he says is armed with the wrackful siege of battering days. I mean, what a phrase. It sounds like an impossible fight, right? And yet, that's the fight he picks.
To really get what Shakespeare is doing, we first need to understand the sheer overwhelming power of this antagonist, just as he saw it.
The language Shakespeare uses here is so important. He calls it time's fell hand. Now, fell doesn't just mean powerful. It means cruel, savage, even malicious. This suggests a deliberate act of violence against everything beautiful. For Shakespeare, time isn't just a process. It's basically a predator. And to make this threat feel totally real and inescapable, Shakespeare doesn't just tell us about time's power. No, he shows us. He presents the evidence, a world that's already been laid to waste. He kicks things off with one of the most powerful images in all of poetry. Our lives, he says, are just like waves crashing on a shore. They're relentlessly pushing forward, each moment replacing the last, in this endless, grinding cycle he calls sequent toil. It's a beautiful image, but it's also kind of terrifying in how mechanical and unstoppable it is. And this just brilliantly illustrates the whole arc of a human life, doesn't it? We're born, we grow up, we reach our peak, but then decay starts to set in. And in the end, time, the very same force that gave us life in the first place, turns right around and destroys its own gift. It's a perfect, brutal cycle. From there, he builds this absolutely devastating list of all of time's victims. He's like, look around. We see huge towers leveled to the ground. Monuments made of so-called eternal brass are just worn away. Even the very shape of the earth, this constant battle between the ocean and the land, is always changing. Nothing lasts. Not even governments or civilizations. So here's the crucial point. After seeing all this destruction, the poet is left with this one single, heartbreaking conclusion. If nothing else can survive, then time is eventually going to come for his love too. And that thought is so painful, he says it's like a death in itself. And this is where the whole conflict pivots. It shifts from this huge, universal destruction of the world to something deeply, painfully personal, the decay of the poet himself. After seeing time's destructive work everywhere else, he finally looks in the mirror. He sees the exact same process of decay that he saw in towers and monuments, but now it's happening inside his own body, in his own life. The structure here is just masterful. Each image gets closer and closer to that final end. We go from the end of a whole season, down to the end of a single day, all the way down to the final, flickering moments of one little fire. It's this elegant, totally inescapable countdown to oblivion. And here it is. This is the emotional core of the whole thing. The poet turns to his beloved and says, "You see all this, right? You see me fading away? But here's the twist. Seeing this inevitable loss doesn't push the beloved away. Instead, it makes his love stronger, more intense, precisely because he knows what he loves is about to be lost forever." Okay, so after building this airtight, seemingly hopeless case, everything decays, everything dies, the end, Shakespeare suddenly pivots. He pulls out his one, defiant, and what seems like an absolutely impossible weapon against time. He asks this absolutely desperate question. He says, look, if solid brass and hard stone and even the boundless sea all fall to time's rage, what possible hope does something as fragile as beauty have? Its power is no stronger than a flower. It's a question that feels like it has only one sad answer. And yeah, logically, the first answer is just despair. There is no hope. The case seems completely lost before it even begins. But then, the turn. The only answer, he says, isn't physical strength. It's not a bigger wall or a stronger metal. It's a miracle. The seemingly fragile, yet somehow eternal, power of poetry itself, of black ink on a page. And this is it. This is the final showdown.
On one side, you have devouring time. With all the physical power in the entire universe, it crumbles stone, it levels mountains. And on the other side, a few words on a piece of paper, something you could burn or tear in a second. It's this quiet, defiant, totally human miracle.
And here's the crazy thing. Shakespeare's incredible bet on black ink actually paid off. We are still reading his words 400 years later, long after the monuments and kings of his time have turned to dust. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In our own world of fleeting data and disappearing social media posts, what are we creating today that will have the power to outlast devouring time?